Welcome everyone. Welcome to the CoinRock Show. We will get going in a few moments here. And let me put you guys up here. There you go. All right. So, is the bull market canceled? Is this the end of everything? Are your bags dead? Is everything is everything going to shit? Well, we'll have a look at some of the headlines today. Welcome to the CoinRock Show here. We are live on X. Let's push this out to some of the groups. Thank you to the mods here. Let's have a look at all this. So for those who are new to the CoinRock Show, what we do is we talk about headlines and some alpha, some life alpha, some market alpha, of course. And the fact that you're here shows me, proves, and you're proving to yourself that you're actually serious about this whole crypto thing, right? So that's the alpha. That's number one, top of the list. So congrats to everyone. All right, let's have a look at this one here. We should be good. Welcome. Type in one if you just joined. You can hear the audio. The video is good. And we'll get going. We'll get going here. All right. So we are at a very interesting time here in the market. For the mods here and the CoinRock team, you can push the with a few moments here. You can push the link here to the different groups. You know, I think sometimes you actually don't need to. Sometimes looking at a number tells the whole story. So let's have a look at the numbers. And so one of the things that is actually pretty funny when we talk about crypto price and the Bitcoin price and all that is that I actually don't look at the price much. The only time I look at the price is I just saw the price. So let me screen share here because we'll jump into CoinRock Media here. So for those who don't know, we literally just launched the CoinRock Media news platform. Let me share my screen and we'll get going on this here. CoinRock Media and let's have a look and share. Type in number 2 if you can. Oh, there you go. What a beautiful looking website. I can be very critical of the work done inside all teams, but this is a good looking website. So welcome to the CoinRock Show. We're going to have a look at some of the headlines. First of all, I hope everyone's doing well despite the market. The market sucks. It's good if you were short and you timed your shorts. So congrats if you were short, but look at this. So 82,000 BTC at 82K. Not that we haven't seen it lower. I mean, a few days ago, I think it dropped under 80K. But yesterday, at the end of the stream, at the end of the live, we were at 91. So I think yesterday we started the stream. We were at 89, I believe, and then pumped to like 91. And that was good for like a few hours, and then of course dropped back. We're down 9%, 10% on the day. ETH at 2K. Solana minus 15%, a 15% drop. I mean, so I don't look at the charts all day, every day, just because I'm busy with other stuff inside the CoinRock world, the CoinRock ecosystem. Shout out to the teams, to my co-founder Caius, who's in the CoinRock trenches with the teams, guiding the teams, overseeing everything we do. So pretty much the only time I look at the price. So there's two ways, because looking at the chart, I'm not a day trader. I'm actually not a very good trader. I think being a very good day trader or a swing trader is, I don't think this. The fact is, this is a fact. It's a skill set, And many people don't have that skill set, and they lose a lot of money thinking they know how to trade because they know how to draw charts on TradingView, lines on TradingView, and they get wrecked. So welcome, Shaya, Roaring, Nathan, good to see you guys here. Just saw the comments here. Welcome, everyone. We got Zach, Nathan, Zach. Type and say yes. Don't be shy, guys. We're here. You're a true warrior if you're here at 82K Bitcoin after we hit, say, 110. 82K. If you're here, pat yourself on the back. Congratulate yourself because you're in the weeds here. So the only time I actually see the price is actually two times. One is when one of our team members sends me the headlines for the day, the crypto headlines that we post or that are posted, usually on my account or now on the CoinRock Media Twitter account. I would highly encourage everyone to follow the CoinRock Media account. Let's have a look here. So that's the one time I actually see the Bitcoin price or the updates on the price. And aside from that, I literally I don't look at the charts because I don't think it's very beneficial to be on the charts all day. So make sure. So number one, follow this CoinRock Media. Follow CoinRock Media. Welcome to everyone here joining. And so the second time now that I actually see the price is now on the website on the CoinRock Media platform. We have this. We have these bubbles and the price chart, and that tells you everything you need to know about the state of the market. And the market sucks, as you can see here. 82K BTC, really not you want to be seeing if you are long crypto or if you're trading. I was on a space earlier today, a few hours ago, with Lucas, a partner, long-term supporter of CoinRock since day one, over a year ago. And I was saying basically what I've been saying for a long time now, for months. Short-term choppy, ranging, right? And mid to long-term bullish. But I think we're going to see this sideways action. It's going to be, I don't see any super bullish headlines these days, aside from the casual pumps, like the one we saw over the weekend on Sunday, right? So when Trump announced the strategic reserve and the coins and all that, I mean, that's great. But aside from that, I'm not seeing. I don't think we'll see massive amounts of bullishness in the coming days, maybe weeks. So it's just something we have to be aware of, or that you should be aware of if you're holding coins. I don't think it's good for your mental health, like literally not good for your mental health to be looking at prices all the time. It's for those who've been in the game for at least one cycle, that these phases happen, right? And so being locked indoors looking at the screen is the worst thing you could be doing right now. I highly encourage you to stay active in the space. We'll get to the headlines in a moment here on CoinRock Media, but long story short, the market sucks right now. It's going to suck for maybe a few weeks. That's my take on it. Aside, except if we have some huge news, right? But like I said, Trump and the macro, it's not looking good, bros. For crypto right now, I think there's some a lot of uncertainty around the tariffs. Not that Europe matters much, honestly, when it comes to crypto, but any kind of fear of war or prolonged war in Europe, led by the EU of all entities. Like, can you imagine the EU like aligning, assembling? And this is coming from a European. I'm Swiss. I mean, we're not, the Swiss always have a very interesting way of doing things over history. We have bilateral agreements with Europe. We're not in the EU officially, but we're surrounded by EU countries. So what's very interesting is I don't know what armies they will send if they want to. So I saw a headline today from one of the leaders of the EU in Brussels saying that it's a time for war. We must assemble an EU task force to go fight the Russians and support Ukraine. And so on the other side of the ocean, you have Trump literally saying like, "Hey, we actually need peace. Like this is not good." And then Russia is pro-peace, and then Ukraine. After Zelensky went to the White House a few days ago, he flew directly to the UK, pretty much trying to put a deal together with the UK and the EU to support Ukraine. The UK taxpayer agreed to send £3 billion or $3 billion a year. And I think it was for something like crazy for like 100 years of support. Why? Like, does the UK taxpayer really want to send troops to Ukraine? But that's literally what the PM said. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, you have to keep an open mind. These things are very fluid. Things can escalate very quickly. Not that the EU matters much, not as much as a few decades ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago. But war is never good for prices. It's good for oil, but it's not good for crypto. So we'll see what happens there. Overall, I talked about this on the spaces earlier today. The stock market has been ripping for like 18 months. And so every investor, even the funds, right? The bigger funds, everyone kind of knows that things had to retrace. And so when that happens throughout history, generally the market looks for an excuse to see a change in the market. And so yesterday, NVIDIA dropped with 8 or 9% after earnings. See NVIDIA stock. So yeah, so it's up. No, it's actually down 1.5% today. But yeah, it did drop over the last 24 hours from, let's see. Yeah, I mean, look, it's down. NVIDIA, right? So a $1 trillion company is down 14% over the last 5 days. That's no good. No good. And so, crypto is very much a risk, always a riskier play than the stock market. It is a beta to anything happening. It's not looking good. Look at Amazon down 2%. So all this, there is uncertainty around what Trump wants to do with the tariffs. That's something that we'll have to see. I saw that today he signed he applied tariffs to, what was it? Let's have a look. Trump tariffs. I know something was signed today. Yeah, so literally like 4 minutes ago, Associated Press, Trump's long threatened tariffs against Canada and Mexico go into, so 25% against Canada and Mexico. That's not good for us, guys. That's not good. So, Bitcoin 82K. I think, again, unless we get some major, massive bullish news, crypto has unfortunately a way of chopping down. And so, they'll probably, same as always, they'll punish the late shorts, send it back up, get people long again, punish the late longs, drop it down again, and we'll range for a bit. It's been like that for a few weeks now. I think you just have to be mentally prepared that that your bags might not pump in the coming weeks, and that's fine if you're not, if you're not trading. I also said on the spaces earlier today with Lucas that it's it's not the time to start trading perps and playing with leverage if you've never done it in your life. You're not going to make it back in one trade. You're probably going to lose money, and you'll over trade and you lose even more money. And then you will lose this time, this precious time that you have to prep for the upcoming bull, because the markets will turn eventually, like they always do. And I pulled up a bunch of headlines here on CoinRock Media. We'll go over them in a bit. The market will turn for the best at some point, and bags will pump. Not all bags will pump, but bags will overall generally pump. crypto will pump, Bitcoin will pump, of course, and the mood will be much better. We'll have literally thousands of people on these streams. Yesterday, I think we peaked around 400, 500 live. We'll have thousands when the market heats up, and that's great. So don't get wrecked playing leverage. Don't play trader. If you're a trader, trade, right? You know how to limit your risk. You know how to you have, if you have a good system and a good way of trading, by all means you should trade. You can trade. But if you're new to trading and you think that you could pick up leverage trading and trading perps now in this environment, you're going to get wrecked. So that's my word of non-financial advice. Be very careful. This is a time to connect with people. Let me just have a look at some of the DMs here. Connect with people, stay active in groups, pick up a hobby. I'm not joking when I say pick up a hobby. I don't know. Start boxing or start playing paddle. We had a paddle event last week with CoinRock. Start playing tennis. Start reading. Read a book that you've been wanting to read for a while. I don't know. Do something that gets you off the screen. There is no upside in being and looking at your bags just dropping when we're in these phases. So Bitcoin at 82K, ETH at 2K, horrendous. I'm very bullish on ETH. I think that if you look at the type of buyer and accumulator of ETH this cycle, it's very bullish, right? BlackRock, Trump, big funds, ETFs, super bullish. Like I said, ETH will ETH hit 20K? Probably not, but 8K, 10K, 12K most likely. And yeah, just it's been horrendous this cycle. Look at how Solana is literally down, it was down 14-15% today, right? Cardano pumped after the Trump announcement, down 15% today. Look at the bubbles, right? Again, I love these. The bubbles really give you an idea of what's been happening. It's red. There's literally not a single green bubble here in the top 100. Unbelievable. On the week, yeah, we do have, look at the coins, right? ADA pumped, of course, after Trump's announcement, but it's not looking good. So stay focused, stay lean. Not a time to lose all your money trading. Let's have a look at some of the headlines here. I wanted to show you this one. Populist streamer targeted in armed robbery, armed home invasion over cryptocurrency robber. This is not good news, guys. So I think everyone here should be mindful, especially after the Bybit hack that happened, what was it, 10 days ago? We'll get to Bybit in a moment here. Yeah, there's crime, of course. There's criminals, right? Looking at, following KOLs, following Twitter accounts, trying to see who has a lot of, who's showing off big watches, big cars on social media. So stay discreet. Stay. It's good to actually have, some level of secrecy, and not showing everything you have on social media. So yeah, the streamer, who is popular for their live streams, faced a terrifying situation when armed robbers broke into their home at night. Police said the criminals specifically targeted the streamer because of their cryptocurrency. So, you see a lot of people showing their wallets. Not a good idea. I mean, I understand, of course, why they're doing it. By the way, most of the time when you see screenshots of wallets, many of them are fake. Not all of them. Some of them are real, especially if, there's obviously some real some real stuff on social media, but don't believe everything you see. But also don't put yourself in a position where people see your wallets, right? So the attackers tied them up and demanded access to their digital wallets. So again, be careful. Be careful. Cryptocurrency driven crimes are increasing, of course. We've seen this. This will happen more and more. So again, something to watch out for, right? Trump, 3 hours ago, this came out 3 hours ago. Trump's crypto reserve plans faces scrutiny over altcoin inclusion. So this is something we talked about a few hours ago on the Spaces too. With ETH So Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, but mainly with Solana, Cardano, and XRP included. How does this affect? How does this affect? How does this impact the decision to include them in the strategic reserve? It's a very good question. We don't really know today what's happening behind the scenes, unless if you're in those conversations, right? There's definitely some questions about why those three cryptos. My view is, if you look at the top, right? If we go back here and you look at the condition that the Trump administration and David Sachs, who's a venture capital guy, and now Trump's crypto guy, crypto czar, the condition for being included in the U.S. crypto strategic reserve is to be a US based cryptocurrency, right? And so let's go down the list. I mean, okay, Bitcoin and Ethereum, those are a given. I think that thinking that those two are not included is really being a bit dumb, because Trump's DeFi project literally is buying Ethereum by the hundreds of millions of dollars. Bitcoin is a given too. But look at the top 10, right? So I saw people complaining and saying, even some famous names. Shout out to Sharam, of course, Shay and Shayatrix here. How's it going, bros? So the question is, okay, some people were pissed at XRP, Solana, and Cardano. But the question is, what else do you include? I mean, please tell me. They're in the top 10. They're US-based projects. I understand the point of XRP is an old coin, it's an old chain, there's no traction, etc. I get that, right? But the reality is, if you want to include something else than Bitcoin in your strategic reserve, like, what else do you add? There's not much choice. I mean, this is literally the top 10. So again, is it perfect? My view on this is, and I completely understand the reason to only want to have Bitcoin. I get that, of course. I mean, it's that's a no-brainer. But if you're going to include different projects, different L1s in this case, what else do you include? I mean, these are in the top 10. The three of them are in the top 10. They're US-based projects, and they're relatively large, of course, being in the top 8. So again, what else do you include? You know, if you go down to page 2, page 3, again, there's let's have a look. HBAR, Chainlink, Stellar. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, yeah. So now you're out of the top 10. So of course those coins are going to be in consideration. Now, why? I think it makes sense to, like, it's justifiable to have those three as the first batch in. It would be more questionable if they had Litecoin and AVAX and Chainlink, for example, right? Just because they're not in the top 10. So they do avoid scrutiny. I think it's fine. Of course, there's always going to be some opposition, like, hey, then when after some of the initial reaction of, hey, why Solana, Cardano, and XRP, Trump tweeted this, right? He said, obviously BTC and ETH as other valuable currencies. So what does this mean? They're going to add more, right? So just so you guys know, they will add more. So a good trade, if you guys want to trade this, some of the alpha is you could actually buy some US based crypto, because it seems like, again, remember, we are in a Trump dependent market. It is clearly this tweet, and again, Trump can change his mind at any given time, as we've seen, as we know. But if they want to keep growing the industry, there is a higher chance than 50% that they actually add more crypto, different coins, to the strategic reserve. So a good play could be, this is some alpha. If you make money, tag me and tell me how much you made. Other US based projects between the numbers 10 to 30, right, on CoinMarketCap. So yeah, of course, there's always going to be questions of like, hey, is this good? Is this bad? But that's just my view of that is any move anyone makes is always going to be criticized anyway. So you might as well do it. But there's going to be more added eventually to the reserve. One thing that's interesting here about Hedera, right? Hedera, which is, we just saw it. No, did we? I think it was number, what was it, number 12? 12, yeah. So H bar, you know, again, not particularly a fan of H bar, but this is bullish. Like, if you want bullish signs in the market, even though the market sucks today, this is something that is good for the industry if your goal is for the industry to grow. So again, I'm not a huge Hedera fan, nothing against it, nothing. I mean, I'm neutral. I think there's a lack of users on, specifically on all these older chains, but that's fine. That's another story. But this is for the industry. Seeing these headlines is positive, right? This is positive. Not too much to say about that one. Another one here. This is an interesting headline too. So a Japanese, one of these, this company called MetaPlanet, right? They've been buying Bitcoin almost as aggressively as Saylor, as MicroStrategy. So very interesting to see that, MetaPlanet raises record capital to expand Bitcoin holdings. So they're literally, I think they're using what seems to be the Saylor playbook. So Tokyo-based investment firm MetaPlanet has completed its largest capital raise to date, securing billions through stock acquisition rights and bond issuance. And so recently completed its 13th and 14th stock acquisition rights, raising about 13 billion yen. So here, this would be one of the largest raises in MetaPlanet's history. And so they have been buying Bitcoin, hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. Very interesting to see this. They hold 2,391 Bitcoin, verifiable on chain, and they're buying more. Again, pros and cons to doing this, but very bullish for the industry. Again, it depends on the strategy. If it's a Michael Saylor strategy, where it's buy and then he's been very vocal about his plan, which is buy as much Bitcoin as possible and then take loans against his Bitcoin. So his plan is literally to never sell. Of course, there's going to be sellers. I don't know if these guys are going to hold, but it is bullish again. Big funds, publicly traded. This is good advertising too, right? So if you look at, there was a wave a few years ago, probably about 2-3 years ago, of publicly traded companies and private companies too, using the Bitcoin treasury headline to get free marketing. Because what would happen is, and it's still happening now, obviously, because the news is picking up on these headlines. So it's free advertising for them, right? If you look at the amount of free advertising that El Salvador has received for free globally, I mean, I saw a number that if you had to equate the amount of, if you had to put a number on the inventory that you would have to pay to get coverage that El Salvador got through just buying Bitcoin and holding it and being the first country to publicly disclose that they're very bullish Bitcoin, it's in the well over 9 figures, so well over $100 million in advertising and media inventory that you would have to buy to get the equivalent of free coverage they got on, at a global scale when it comes to their Bitcoin acquisitions. So very interesting to see. I've seen this headline over and over again over the last few months, and they're pushing, they're buying more and more, which also gives a vote of confidence and almost like a nod to other companies, in this case in Japan, to buy crypto, to buy Bitcoin. Very, very interesting. And of course, so they're accumulating between 90 and so Bitcoin being between 80 and 90K. So that's a bullish headline too. I think it's very good. It's free advertising for the industry. This is interesting too. I wanted to show you guys. So the SEC expands crypto task force with a new attorney. So a complete revamp here, and we've been joking about this, and Gensler being now gone. So the way these agencies work is when the top guy leaves, usually the leadership leaves with the leader. So now, of course, he's out. There's a new team in, and so they're staffing up, and basically getting people who align with new vision and the new the new way of doing things at the SEC. So there's a running joke in crypto these days, which is like it's crime season because there's been so many scams, so many rug pulls over the last few months. People will be going to jail for sure. We know for a fact that there's investigations currently ongoing, as there should be. And so even though the SEC is much more lax, and they have, and I think we have a few headlines here about, let's jump to this one actually, this one. The SEC ends investigation. Yesterday we talked about the SEC ending its investigation and basically dismissing the case against Hex and Richard Hart. Today, this headline, SEC ends investigation into Yuga Labs, creator of the Bored Ape collection. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has officially ended its investigation into Yuga Labs. And same headline that we saw yesterday, pretty much, when it came to Richard Hart and Hex, during which the SEC examined whether Yuga Labs and the ApeCoin token distribution violated federal securities laws. So we're seeing something interesting. You can see several headlines like this over the last few days and weeks. Yuga Labs, of course, calling it a huge win. NFTs are not securities. That's basically the conclusion. Very bullish for the industry. Of course, the SEC will be pursuing cases of fraud, which I think is a very good thing. There's been quite a few arrests on the fraud and market manipulation. There's several actually market makers back in September, October that got arrested. One of which actually is called Gotbit. We were actually at their private party here in Dubai. It was actually very funny to be in Dubai at that time. Great party, maybe 150, 200 people, music, drinks, everything for free, good-looking girls, everything you could imagine for a crypto party. And of course, a few months later, I believe it was a DOJ investigation. Gotbit. So because the SEC doesn't always charge criminally. This was so Gotbit founder extradited to the US to face market manipulation and fraud charges, extradited from Portugal. And this was on, I think it was the DOJ, Department of Justice in the US. Can't see that here. Yes, DOJ. DOJ indicts Gotbit CEO for allegedly orchestrating massive wash trading scheme. Obviously illegal, so he's not going to have a good time. DOJ exposes $25 million crypto manipulation scheme. So as much as these cases get dismissed, right, for securities and all that, these are mainly civil lawsuits. There's going to be, of course, people who go to jail because fraud is fraud and fraud is not good. And but this is very encouraging for the industry. The issue, and I know I have friends in the industry, very well connected, of course, who worked at centralized exchanges, still work at centralized exchanges. And the clusterfuck in the US mainly was, we don't know what the SEC wants, right? What do they want? And the running joke was that Gensler wasn't giving any direction or any kind of clear guideline, but then serving these companies and draining public resources, of course, draining, costing millions of dollars to these companies just in lawyer fees. And now it seems like there is a lot more clarity. We don't have guidelines yet, but this is definitely showing that the idea is to, so NFTs in this case, not securities. After 3+ years, the SEC has 3+ years, right? Imagine you're a project, you get charged by the SEC. The SEC has officially closed its investigation, or investigated, not charged, investigated. And this is a huge win, of course, for NFTs and all creators pushing our ecosystem. NFTs are not securities. We talked about that yesterday with the Richard Hart case. Also very bullish, of course, because they did not find any fraud, and they determined that basically the SEC did not have, I believe it was, did not have jurisdiction for the case. So the judge ruled. And so this is very bullish for the industry again, because of course we need regulation. I think the time to go against the idea of regulation is over. Regulation is here, it's coming, and it's needed, and that's fine. I just think that we need a clear framework, and that's essentially that's what all us investors and builders and funds want to see, as clarity. Some countries have more clarity than others, but this is definitely, again, when the US does this kind of stuff, it also paves the way for other countries, smaller countries, to kind of follow and take a US kind of a US approach to these new industries. So that is good. That is good. SEC's latest hire. This is also important to know, of course. Regulators are paying more attention to platforms offering unregistered services. So a service is if you trade for other people, if you custody coins. Yeah, that's going to be that's a no-no, unless if you have proper licensing and everything. But that's that's something that, again, the industry wants clarity, and it's coming. From what I'm hearing, anywhere between 1 to 4 months from today, so probably by the end of Q2, maybe Q3, we should have a very clear framework from the US. And also, to be quite frank, I mean, not everyone needs to abide by this. If you're building a project outside of the US or with non-US investors, you might not even need to abide by the new rules. This time we don't know. Everyone's waiting for the updates, but it is very bullish for the industry overall. Let's talk about ETH. Do we have any ETH holders? Type in ETH or type in cry if you're crying because ETH has sucked so much this cycle. Oh my God, ETH. It's very disappointing. ETH has been very disappointing because, again, I've been saying this. Like, you can actually look at the type, the buyer profile of ETH. Very institutional. It's what's interesting is it is a very easy to sell asset to companies that old school companies, old school funds, family offices, pension funds, banks. It is something that it's basically, if Bitcoin is gold, ETH is silver today. 12 years ago, when I was pitched, this is a crazy story. So in 2013, I was building a technology company, a SaaS, so software, in Estonia. We had about 50 people working in the office in Estonia, and this is a crazy story, true story too. One of my lead developers, and this is probably around like October, November, 2013. He comes up to me. Long days, when you're building technology, you have long days. He comes up, he's like, hey, I put together a PowerPoint presentation about this thing called Bitcoin. Of course, I'd heard a bit about Bitcoin. This was right after the Silk Road and the Ross Ulbricht arrest. And he tells me, hey, can I show you the deck at the end of the workday? I promise, I'm not losing any focus and not getting distracted, but I want to show you this. Evening, after a long day, he shows me the pitch, and it's like, the pitch is essentially, let's allocate $50,000, 25,000 going to buying Bitcoin, which at the time was around 150 to 200 bucks, and 25,000 to mining Bitcoin. And he had done his research, and he said, I can set everything up. At the time, you could mine Bitcoin with simple computers, laptops. He's like, I can set everything up. We can mine Bitcoin. We can buy Bitcoin. And, we're spending around $100,000 a month on staff at the time. So he was like, let's just allocate some of that to buying Bitcoin and mining. And I was like, no, this is never going to work. This Bitcoin thing will never take off. And at the time, Bitcoin was number one. Litecoin was number two. And Litecoin was basically, so Bitcoin was digital gold and Litecoin was digital silver. That was the pitch, or the almost like the meme in a way. That's how it was presented in the market. Today, ETH is very much silver to Bitcoin being gold. It's a very easy asset to sell. So easy asset for the accumulators and the big funds and the BlackRocks of the world to sell to their clients. The very strong holders too. This, retail is not buying ETH this cycle, and that's fine. The buyer profile is different, but price action has been horrendous. We hit 4K, or was it 4,100, I think, and dipped, basically dropped to 2K. Lowest level since November 2023. Ethereum has dropped. This was yesterday, 5 hours ago. Ethereum has dropped to $2,000, its lowest level in nearly a year. Shocking plunge has left investors worried. Of course it is. It's worrying. This is supposed to be like one of these almost like safe haven crypto assets, if there is such a thing. But these big ships are not supposed to move this much, right? ETH has long been a leader, of course, but it's been horrendous. So if you hold ETH, I hold ETH. It's price bad, price not good. The issue mainly, we talked about this on the spaces earlier, and this is something that I think is interesting to discuss because we've seen leadership changes. There's been there's been changes at the ETH Foundation last week or a couple weeks ago. Bottom line is the foundation was not well run. And so when you have turmoil, when you have uncertainty, when you have fear inside a company, they call it a foundation. Ultimately, all these foundations are businesses. They need to be operated like a business. You need a good leader. You need good lieutenants. You need a clear vision. You need to be able to solve problems that clearly Ethereum has. The onboarding is horrendous for new. That's why Solana also has done so well this cycle relative to ETH, because the onboarding is easy. Transactions are cheap. It's easy to onboard retail. I remember in the previous cycle, 2021, 22, you would pay hundreds of dollars in gas fees. People joining crypto and entering this crypto world don't want to pay $50 to just to send money or to send ETH. And yes, the argument could be, well, you're paying fees when you send money from bank to bank. Yeah, I get that. That's fine. But when you have Solana that costs a few cents, the value proposition on ETH is they have not solved the issue, and that's a big problem. And so when you run these foundations or businesses or agencies, you need to solve problems, right? You have problems every day. You have to wake up in the morning, and even though you've made a shit ton of money because everyone who bought ETH or who was in the ETH ICO, and I deeply regret not being around in crypto that time because I would have loaded up on everything that was popping. You need to run this like a business, right? So there needs to be clear leadership. addressing the issues that the product has. Communication horrendous publicly. You need to be more active and proactive with the community, with the builders, with the validators, with the early believers who now don't believe anymore, or who are frustrated. And so there has been some leadership changes. I think that's bullish. I think there's a lot of work. I think the foundation overall definitely needs to step up. So we'll see. Overall, I think ETH will be here for a while. It should be fine overall. But there's work. So if you guys have people, actually, you know what would be interesting is getting some people from the foundation here on one of the shows here. We have some very cool guests getting lined up for, I think we have one this week. I need to check the calendar, but next week for sure. We're gonna have some a very like a wide range of guests on these CoinRock shows. Some will be pre-recorded, by the way. Some will be live. If I think it would be good to get someone from all these different. We actually have a few different L1s that we're in contact with to get on the show and share their perspective. I think crypto being such a hyper-connected industry, you need to be able to do these lives and do these spaces if you don't want to show yourself, but you need to interact with the community. And when you have people who are who were in the ETH ICO and still hold, but frustrated with the way things are going, there needs to be a change. So, we'll see what happens. I don't think ETH will do, again, ETH will not hit 20K. I think it'll do fine. I think if you're holding ETH, unless if you feel very bad and like, sick to your stomach because you own too much and you want to de-risk, I think it's one of those, like, you keep it, you put it in cold storage and you wait, because it's going to be around. It's an easy asset, like I said, for institutions to sell, and price action has been horrendous. Moving on to, we talked about a hack yesterday, right? The Bybit hack. Shaya says, only holding USDC, that's the way. Other side, mint 6K fees. I remember, yes. The fees, I mean, it's just, there are real problems in the Ethereum ecosystem. Hopefully they address that. So we talked yesterday, this is interesting, because yesterday we talked about the hack, right? The Bybit hack, and how Lazarus stole, what was it, $1.4 billion. Props to Bybit for shoring up and making the most and trying to handle the situation the best it could, and I think they did a great job. And so I know someone asked this yesterday, or like, how long does it take to basically get the money out if you're Lazarus and you hack? And generally the conversation, so I spoke last week when we had the CoinRock events, the paddle events. Spoke to someone who's very much in the know with these kind of decentralized, not with kind of, like literally very much in the know with a specific decentralized exchange. And usually it takes a few months to get this money out. Usually, to move like $1 billion or $2 billion, it can take up to 12 months. That's kind of the consensus, right? This is wild. So they basically, so Thorchain, the decentralized cross exchange, has seen an unprecedented surge in trading volume, 4.6 billion in swaps following the $1.4 billion hack of Bybit. The spike in activity is directly linked to hackers attempting to launder stolen funds, right? So props to Lazarus. These guys are very smart. We know that, because it clearly seems like this time they thought about the exit. They had their exit planned much sooner than many other hacks. So again, they know what they're doing. The Bybit hack, which has been identified as one of the largest cryptocurrency exchange breaches in history, $1.4 billion in ETH. And yeah, the hackers behind the exploit successfully laundered their entire holdings in 10 days. Wild. Like, let's just take a step back here. This is insane. Insane. And this is not going through a a Bybit or a Coinbase or a Binance KYC account, right? But doing that work in 10 days, props. Like, that is extreme efficiency. Again, we're dealing here with teams of professionals. Teams. This is not like two guys in North Korea, right? These are teams of professionals. They know what they're doing. Clearly, they had the exit, and this is very impressive. Very impressive. So the laundering operation reached major third-party entities within 2 transactions, and yeah, Thorchain. This is very, very known too. When you steal that amount of money, you need to find a way to launder it, of course, and get the money out. And like I said, usually it takes a lot longer. They did this in only 10 days. So as the hackers moved 500,000 ETH, so about $1.4 billion dollars worth of ETH through DeFi protocols, of course, big impact on ETH, big impact on the industry, on holders, on Bybit, undoubtedly on the mental sanity of the Bybit leadership. But then again, Bybit is clearly showed that they know how to handle these situations, and I think it's very bullish for the industry. And props to Bybit for handling the situation that well. So that's it for the news today. Let's see if we have anything new. Nope, that's pretty much it for today. Hope you guys are doing well. Stay mentally sane. It's not easy. It's not an easy time in crypto, but this is when you actually, like I said, this is when you do research. This is where you on the crypto side, this is where you do research. This is where you connect with people. This is where you literally meet people IRL in real life to build connections. This is where you quote network, even though I hate the word networking, but this is where you connect with other people in groups. Join the alpha channel. Let me have a look here. Where's this the CoinRock alpha channel here? We'll just drop this in the chat. And so join different groups, interact. It's dead, but you should not be a tourist. So do not be a tourist. You definitely want to stay active, because the money is made in these times of boringness in a way, right? It's very unfortunate for people. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they disappear, and they only come back when the market pops again. But you've missed out on 2, 3, 5, 10x's because you just weren't focused. So again, don't be a tourist. If you're here, stay focused. Join the alpha group here. Let's have a look if I can just drop this myself. If not, the team can do it. And we'll keep doing these. So we have these events, these live events every day. I'll give you the time of the next one here. Aragon says the platform looking nice. Appreciate it, Aragon. I'm very appreciated. Let's have a look at, I believe it's CoinRock Alpha. T.co. Let's have a look here. And yeah, it is. That's the Telegram group. Not group, sorry, the channel with the alpha. We publish news and updates whenever we have them. And on the flip side, if you're sick and tired of seeing your your portfolio sinking day after day, and then popping and then dropping again as they kind of BART you, right, up and down, as the market makers like to do, pick up a hobby. I mean, this is the best time to do it. You definitely don't want to be picking up hobbies when the bull market hits, and that's when you need to be focused, and you always need to be focused. Bottom line is, But don't stay stressed out at home. Go out, touch grass, go for a hike, pick up a book, play video games. Just get your mind off this if it's stressing you out. And if you're over exposed, reduce positions if needed. But overall, don't check the price every day, every minute. It's kind of pointless unless if you're a trader and you're actually trading around these positions. But there's really no point in stressing out. The market will do what the market wants. And unless you have leverage and you have to work on your positions, there is no point in being stressed out today. This is the time, like I said, to research, have a look at which alts have been destroyed price-wise, buy back, wait, talk to other people in the community, connect with other people, and keep an eye out for what we're doing with CoinRock Media, of course, because tomorrow we have, let's have a look here. So tomorrow we have So tomorrow I'm doing a pre-recorded show. It's I actually don't know who it's with. so I just have here in my calendar CRM guest. So that's a pre-recorded episode we'll be doing, and then we'll be doing a show same time as today, covering the news and giving some alpha. Hopefully we get some better price action tomorrow. But again, my conclusion and everything here that I'm trying to tell you guys is, this chop action might take a few weeks, right, before we see the next leg up. I think overall that, and this is I'm very fortunate in what we have with CoinRock, because of course we have the venture side, now we have the CoinRock Media side. For those who just joined, we just launched a few days ago CoinRock Media, the news platform with live streams every single day, guests. Every week we'll have several different guests, sometimes twice a day. So we're really pushing on the media side. This is basically it is under, of course, the CoinRock umbrella, but this is an independent news media play for us. And so, my vision when we started CoinRock a year ago was to be around for at least a decade, to build something for the long term. And so it only makes sense for us to invest time and energy and resources in building a media arm. And I think now, especially with so many projects that we have going at CoinRock, but also the exposure, the inbound requests, the DMs we get. It's a very good time for us to kind of connect everything together around this CoinRock Media platform, news platform, and the streams and the spaces, and really become one of the biggest voices in crypto, which is that's the goal for CoinRock. So good to have you guys on. Thank you for following. Thank you for joining. We'll be on set notifications because we have a lot coming up. The next stream will be anyway tomorrow in 23 hours. So we're going to try to always stick to these times. It's a good time to cover, Asia going to sleep, Europe kind of end of day, and the US waking up. So, and we'll have new headlines tomorrow because the market never stops. That's one thing with crypto. So my take is, and we'll end this one, we're just at 59 minutes here. So it's actually a good time to end this here. My take is, from everything that we're seeing today, again, this can change tomorrow, right? Because the market changes so quickly. As of today, I think we see some chop action, sideways, slightly bearish, negative on the timeline. Don't take any insane risks. Preserve your capital. Look at projects that you want to get in. There's pre-sales coming up. We have the Gotbit pre-sale coming up soon too. So there's definitely going to be opportunities for you guys to jump in. Just don't do stupid shit. Don't lose your money. Especially don't think that you can make it all back in one trade. If you've never traded in your life, this is not the time to put all your money on a single trade, because you will get hunted if you have large positions. As you know, the market makers like to go to go where liquidity is, and now it's just the time to touch grass or study projects, connect with people, and not go crazy. So with that said, thank you for joining, guys. Thank you for being with us, and share this with others so we have other people joining tomorrow. Follow, like, and share CoinRock Media, and we will see you online or in one of the groups or the channels, and we'll talk to you. We'll be on in exactly 23 hours for the next sets, the next updates in the market. Talk soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you got value from this episode, you're going to love what's coming next. So subscribe now. We drop new episodes and videos several times a week featuring power players, market movers, and insiders from the financial world. And if you want access to deals and insights we only share privately, hit the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next show.